Hello everyone, and welcome to Bold Blind Beauty on Air's newest segment, Connected and Curious with Andy, the podcast where stories shine and understanding grows. I'm your host, Andy Chadwick, and together we're diving into the lives of incredible blind and visually impaired individuals who are changing the world in big and small ways. Here, we ask the questions, share the laughs, explore the challenges, and celebrate the triumphs without judgment, with curiosity and with heart. Whether you're sighted and you want to learn, or blind and you want to be understood, or educate. This is your safe space to listen, learn, laugh, cry sometimes, and connect. Where curiosity is always welcome and no question is off the table. So, let's get connected, let's get curious. And let's jump into today's episode. Let's talk a bit about you, because I want to talk about you and hear about you. So you're a mom, an author, a speaker. So much is going on. What are the little joys in your everyday life that mean the most to you?
My everyday joys. I think it's really just the smallest things. A good cup of coffee to start my day is the biggest joy to start. And just taking things in, whether it's just my garden, watching the wind to rustle through the blades of grass, just even my daughter's voice on a random text check-in. Those are just things that I just really appreciate. And one of the things that I really love is just capturing moments on my phone, actually.
Oh, I love that. So when you talk about just experiencing like the wind and I feel that in your Instagram, if that's the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I hope so. I hope I can be able to convey that it is those little moments that are so special, and just taking the time to stop and enjoy them.
Oh, I love it so much. So what's something you love to do for fun that might surprise people?
I think that the thing that surprises people the most is that I do love photography. And it seems, opposite when you're visually impaired, but I really love capturing photos, taking that time to just stop and capture the moment, maybe the way the light, filters through the trees, even little birds, like, could be the crow, and how they're, walking around, and just getting those feelings from my photography. And I love architecture. I love looking at old buildings. I love looking at shapes. And then, when I can capture those moments, whether it's through video or still photos, I can go back to them and really, zoom in and take a closer look. And another thing that surprises people is how much I love interior design. I love, watching like home and garden TV. And I actually renovated my home using universal design principles to make it more accessible. Yeah. So I, from everything, the textures, the materials, I designed it all, and made it so that we could age in place.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool to me, Anne. And again, it just speaks volumes to your social media presence too, the way you take those colors and you take those pictures. Anyway, let me move on. So for anybody that doesn't know about you, can you share with us when you were first diagnosed, what that moment was like for you and how it changed your life?
No, so I was diagnosed with an inherited retinal condition called cone rod dystrophy, but it really didn't present itself until much later in life. When I was in my 30s and I was raising my kids, I've always struggled with my vision. And so looking back, things make sense. Why I was so klutzy, why I was terrible at sports, why I didn't do so well in school. But it It makes sense now. And what I was experiencing was that I wasn't able to see the things that I knew I should be able to see. So,
Mm.
yeah, so cones and rods are the light sensitive cells in the retina that help us see. And the cones are responsible for the sharp central vision, color, seeing in bright light. Um, and they're what help to you read, recognize faces. But rods are those that help with your peripheral vision and seeing in low light. So that's where I have difficulty in navigating in a dim room or spotting something off to the side. And with cone rod dystrophy, so for me it's cone rod. Others have rod cone, but my cones are dying first, and then the rods. So
Wow.
so my central vision is very blurry, very patchy. My peripheral vision is very narrow, and I can't see well in bright sunlight because of light sensitivity. And same with evening as well. I have night blindness. So while it might look like I'm seeing, there's actually a lot that I'm missing because my brain doesn't fill in the gaps. So I have blind spots in my central vision, but to me, I don't see those blind spots. But it's not until like I bump into something or I trip that's where it presents itself.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
yeah,
Okay, so you said you were diagnosed in your 30s. Were there any indications like in your earlier years? Because I know you said you struggle with vision.
yeah. So I started wearing glasses when I was 3 years old, and
Yeah.
I think by the time I was 12 or so, I was legally blind. So my glasses were really thick, the thick Coke bottle lenses.
Mm.
And when you're a teenager, you struggle with how you look and stuff. So I did get contact lenses. Soft contact lenses were not good for me because of the same thing, shape of my eye. So they recommended hard contact lenses, and that got me through. But also, our family came to Canada when I was very little. My
Mm.
parents were, learning English, trying to fit in. So, any struggles that I had, um, they didn't question the doctors about that. They just assumed you just need glasses. The rest of my brothers and sisters had glasses as well, same with my parents. So it didn't seem like anything was really different. And
Yeah.
then even though I struggled in school, um, the answer was just put her closer to the front. And a lot of it was pretending I could see when I couldn't see. And I didn't know any better
Oh,
as well.
oh my gosh. That experience as a child. Oh my, I mean, how it would shape you and
Yes.
adult life.
Yes. It definitely
Gosh.
shaped.
So can I ask you this? So how
Mhm.
did your family react to the news? And what was the role they played in helping you and to adjust and find your strength? Because you know you're wonderful, but go ahead.
My family has been supportive in many ways, but honestly, it's hasn't always been easy for them to really fully understand what I'm going through. Even though
Yeah,
they see me every day inside the home, I manage really well. I know where everything is, you know, but once I'm out in the world, navigating, uneven sidewalks or trying to cross a busy street, it's a different story. And that's when they really
yeah,
see the challenges, and that's hard for them to watch. And sometimes
yeah,
they can be a little overprotective because, it all comes from love, but it's hard for them to grasp what it's like to live in that in between where I can see, but I can't. And I miss
yeah.
things all the time, the blind spots, the light sensitivity, uh, things that I realize I'm missing until I bump into them. Um,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's a learning experience is everybody has to navigate, right? Everybody is going through this and learning with you and figuring out how to help and where not to overstep. I'm sure it's challenging at times and
Mhm.
definitely comes with rewards too.
Yes.
I have a
It-
question.
yeah.
What's one misconception that everybody thinks they know about blindness, but really they don't?
Right. I think the
Set the
biggest
record straight, Anne. Come
Yeah.
on.
I think the biggest misconception is that blindness means living in complete darkness, but it's really not an absence. It's just a different way of perceiving the world. Like I still dream in color. I still notice beauty, just differently now. And there's also that idea that blindness has a certain look, that all blind people use a white cane or a guide dog, or that we must be totally blind to matter.
Yeah.
And the truth is that blindness exists on a spectrum. It doesn't mean we're incompetent, or even that we don't even care about how we look or carry about ourselves. I still love fashion and I care about how I show up in the world. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I've had these same misconceptions too before my own vision loss journey. We get so much of what we know from TV and movies, and that's those portrayals are outdated, and they're just one-dimensional stereotypes. And that's
Yeah.
why I think it's really important just to keep showing up, just keep being myself, live fully, creatively, openly. That's how we're going to change the narrative. It's not overnight, but one story, one image, one conversation like this is how we change.
I love it. And that's why I'm so excited that I'm doing this. Anyway, I want to talk about your book.
Mhm.
What inspired you to write Resilience and Purpose, Discovering Strength and Connection in Life Cracks? What was that spark that pushed you to
Oh,
put pen to paper?
I think, like I originally didn't set out to write a book. The spark has been honestly community reaching out to me and asking, like, can you put out a book? And so I had a really great opportunity to be able to share my story. And it's once I started putting those words to the page, it really became clear that really this book is a love letter. It's a love letter to my husband and my kids. And
Oh,
it wasn't until after I published it that I also realized, in a way, it was a hug that I needed. I had lost my mom suddenly, before my vision loss diagnosis, and writing this book helped me move through all those chapters of my life, that I hadn't really fully grieved or processed. And it was like her reaching back out to me to give me that hug, to know that her hand was holding mine through all of this. Um, and reaching to this other side helped me really leave something for my kids as well. Um, it's and give them that resilience and know that life gets tough, but you can get through it. You will get through it. You'll carve a new path, um, and I will always be there for them.
oh my gosh.
I think it's
Okay.
it's important. It's important. Anybody reading my story or their own story, that there is light, and it's in those cracks of life that's where, um, it shows up for you. And it's not about getting to the other side or to the end. It's that journey that's really gonna make you stronger, and be the path that helps someone behind you, know that they can get through it.
So, okay. And I'm so sorry.
No,
I
and I appreciate you holding space for me too. And so many in this community have held space for me. Um, without community and the people that I've met along the way, I don't know how I would have got through this or got to the other side to be able to feel that light.
Okay, everybody. My voice is a little bit congested now, but I'm going to go on. Um, all right. Okay. I want to go back to the book, but I just wanted
Okay.
to say this.
Okay.
Your social media presence is very calming, very eye-opening and very warm. All
Mm.
right. And I know we've spoken about this before, but you became the accidental influencer, right?
That's right.
So how did that come about? The accidental influencer.
When I started social media, it was for myself to find someone like me, someone who was going through vision loss, someone who was going through their chronic illness. And I also wanted to make a change. I wanted to challenge Instagram to see if I could make content as accessible as possible. And I also wanted to support small businesses because, we were in the pandemic at that time. And it's just slowly in showing up, and then being vulnerable. And it's those conversations, in my DMs or in comments, wanting to know more about me. And I've always been one in my communications to really support others. Like I feel like I'm a cheerleader for others, um, because I want to uplift people. I think that's, so important that everybody feels seen and feels heard. And so it just kind of slowly came about, and more people just started to notice. Um, and I also realized I could make a difference in people's lives and in how I show up and in sharing, my everyday life, or, the things that I love, that it just kind of had this snowball effect. So I'm so, so proud of the platform that I'm on and what I've created, the community. I mean, I have like the nicest people, and I've honestly never gotten any sort of trolls or anything. Like I've had one, but I like shut that down really quickly. And after that, I have not. So I've been very, very fortunate that way. But I also feel it's important, like how I communicate and how I show up, that it makes a big difference as well. So yeah, and every every opportunity that I've had has just been another, slight curve in the path, or a door that's opened, or a window that's open, and it's saying yes to possibilities and opportunities. Because I've been at the bottom. I've been at the bottom where I've been so depressed, bedridden, uh, losing my job, and I'm like, what? There's nothing more to lose at this point. Just go for it, right? What does it hurt, right? So that's sort of my attitude now. And when I go out and I'm with my white cane and I'm dressing nice, I'm like, my attitude is like, if people are gonna look at me, I'm gonna give them something good to look at, right? So
Oh my
that's
gosh. I love
that's just
that.
kind of how I move about my day. And it's been so interesting how I've connected with brands, but not just, to make an income or anything, but it's like really changing their perspective. Like they're asking me, how can I make my social media more accessible? How can I make my packaging more accessible? I've connected with other travel groups, and they're like, how can I make travel more accessible? I've been on stage, and they're asking, how can I make the room more accessible? So it's really opening up those conversations that has been the best part about it, because I don't have to say anything. I just have to show up, and then the curiosity leads to change. And I started acting classes, the same thing. I started voice acting, the same thing. And they're wondering, how can we make our programs more accessible? Because we want you in that space, and that's the representation and that we need. So this is that accidental influencer, and I'm glad for it.
I know it's wonderful. I because even when you were talking about this speaking, being
Mhm,
on that platform, you're a TEDx speaker.
mhm.
I mean, you're a TEDx speaker, mate. How did that come about?
Oh my goodness. So I had won a contest. First, I did Speak with Confidence with Nazreen, who's part of Bold Blood Beauty. So I did that. And then I won the speaking contest with Jillian Harris. So I was able to have like a one-on-one with her. I got some funds towards my business, and we talked about speaking because I wanted to use my voice to make change. And then I landed my first speaking gig, and that went really well. And I was like on this high. And then there was an application for a TEDx speaker, my local university. And on just a whim, I thought I'd apply. I mean, I had no thinking that I would even get it because I just started speaking, and I just wanted to know what the process was like. But I got through the written part, and then I had the first interview, and I had to pitch myself in, I think that, well, the first one was 1 minute, and I got through that. And then
Wow.
I went through a second interview, which I had to pitch myself again for 3 minutes, and I got through that. And all of a sudden they were like, yes, we'd like to have you as a speaker. And then I was thinking, oh my goodness, now I have to write a speech. So, but what I
What's the
really loved
saying,
about it,
mate?
yeah,
What's the saying? Sometimes you just have to start before you're ready, right?
exactly. You just have to go for it. Like I
Yeah.
had, you know, I'm a very introverted, shy person. Like this is very out of my comfort zone. But what I really wanted to get out of it was that they provide speaking coaches for you. So that was big for me. And so I kept working and working at it. And there was a point where I had a mind block where I couldn't get past a certain part in my TEDx talk. And they were starting to sell tickets. And I was like, oh my goodness, I don't have a speech. But I knew it would come to me, but it wasn't coming to me fast enough.
Yeah.
I was getting worried, but when it did, it finally clicked. And, I felt like I wasn't enough to be on that stage because, the other speakers were like, oh, what do you do? And I didn't have a job. I just said, I'm a mom. But I just kept working at it because I wanted to be able to do it and prove myself. And it's interesting because the others, they relied on their credentials, so there wasn't a lot of practice going on. So even closer to the date, and like the day before, there's quite a few that weren't quite ready yet. And because by continuing to show up and keep working on it, I end up getting the coveted spot of closing the TEDx stage
Oh,
with my
wow.
speech. Yeah, it was a
That's
huge,
awesome.
huge honor. But that showed me that it doesn't matter all those things. It just matters that you keep working at it, you keep showing up, and that is what's going to get you further. So that was my biggest lesson from that.
Thank you for sharing that. That is beautiful. As a mom, and I'm going back and forth, but as a mom, um, has how has it been as a mom influenced the way you approach your work and your writing and how you are sending a message to the world?
I think for me, it's leaving a legacy. Oh, it's always coming from an emotional and compassionate point of view. What
Yeah.
what am I teaching my kids? What am I leading by example? What's it important for them to see? Like legacy, I might not always, I'm not always going to be around, but every foundation that I can leave for them, that's important. And I want them to have compassion for the people around them. I want them to listen to them. I want them to see people as they are. And they've had to learn that in many hard ways with their dad having a stroke when they were a young age. They've had to learn
Yeah.
how to communicate better, um, and how and through with my vision loss, like resilience. Um, and I really see that when we're out in the world and how they're leading with kindness, because that's something that I always want them to do. So, and it's interesting when my daughter got married, so many of her friends and even, her new mother-in-law and father-in-law, that is the one thing that they said about her is how kind she was, how compassionate she was, how intuitive she was, and how she was thinking of others and putting them first and thinking of their needs. So that was a huge moment for me where I realized, okay, I'm doing the right thing because sometimes you don't know, right? You know,
Yeah.
am I
Yeah.
am I am I putting them
Oh,
out into the world so that they're good people too?
I love that. You know, that means the world.
Mhm.
As having kids, you hope that
Yeah.
you place that in their hearts. But
Hmm.
so the book, um, it was healing for
Hmm.
you. Um, but what was the most eye-opening part of the process for you?
Um, I think it was mostly healing. It was, you know, powerful to give myself permission to be honest, and to revisit those hard seasons, especially grief. That's something that I really buried deep down. Like it lives with me all the time, but I didn't talk about it. Um, but being open about it because it is something that has really shaped me. Like it shaped me so much in the way I see the world and move through the world. And even my husband's stroke. For a long time, like I buried those deep inside because it was these were traumatic events for me.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to survive.
Yep.
Uh,
Gosh.
just on that hamster wheel, if I wasn't drowning, I was just treading water. So having to revisit those chapters of my life and put them all together into this book because they are really what shaped me. Before the vision loss, before anything, they are what has led me to these moments and where I am today. So I can now look at those moments with a more softer vision rather than just surviving, and also to reflect on them and appreciate them for what they've given me today.
I just loved how you communicated that, how you expressed that. It's just so soothing. But hey, on the flip side, what are some everyday frustrations and annoyances that sighted people might not realize you face?
um, I would say it's not always the blindness itself that's frustrating, but it's, you know, being in a world that's, really not designed for people like me. Like, I love going grabbing a coffee, but, I can't read the menu board.
Yeah,
Sometimes I don't know where the counter is. I visited Japan and they have their menus like right on the counter. So like, oh, good. And like pictures, so I could point, and that in itself is such a huge thing. And they probably put
yeah,
that there for, foreigners, so it's easier. But for me, like that was amazing. Um,
yeah,
and I often say I can see, but I can't. It's that night blindness, the peripheral vision, that light sensitivity, and being in social situations. I'm thinking, I got to be home by 4 o'clock because it gets dark at that time, especially in the fall. Like it's the worst. So it's
yeah,
really mentally and physically exhausting. It's that huge mental load. Involved in doing so many things. Like before I go anywhere new, there's research, there's mental mapping, there's anxiety. I worry about whether the lighting is decent or the layout is okay. Um, even if I go to a good friend's house, even though I've been there many times, like and it's happened where I've broken things, and I've bumped into things, and I feel like such a klutz. Um, and you know, on the social side as well, like I can't often read facial clues or recognize faces right away. I was walking home one time and I thought it was my son coming toward me. So and I always like to joke with him. So, I was like, hey, and it was not my son. It was some other kid. And I was just so embarrassed. But yeah.
He's like, hi, Mom.
Yeah. And I was like, no. And I was like, oh my goodness. Because, the way that person was walking and carrying himself, I thought it was my son, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also,
So,
going out into the world, as a visible minority woman with a white cane,
yeah.
I often feel like I have a target on my back. So I really worry about my safety. I really try to carry myself with confidence, but that inside I'm also very terrified. So it's a lot of layers that, many people don't understand.
Thank you for saying that.
Mm.
So that's important, right? Because I don't believe everybody understands that. Because again, if there's anything that I want out of this platform is the hope to educate, communicate to others so that there is awareness, because we don't always think about everybody else. You're
Yes.
one-sided, right? It's about
Yeah.
what's happening inside your house. So I appreciate that. I really appreciate you just being transparent.
Mhm.
How did you feel when you held your first edited, complete copy of the book in your hands? All done. You got it. You finished it, and you got that book. How did you feel?
I cried, and not because I
Yeah.
was sad, but because, holding that book in my hand was um, proof, proof that even with vision loss, chronic pain, and all the moments of doubt along the way, I could still create something meaningful. When I lost my job, I lost my identity. I didn't even know who I was. I didn't even see a future for myself. So having that moment felt like, standing in the light again. And one important thing was the cover. I really wanted to make sure that there was representation there. And seeing that for the first time, really just took my breath away. It was really important for me to have representation on there. An Asian
Yeah.
woman with a white cane, standing tall and confident. And I wanted that image to be on shelves in libraries and on hands because I wanted people to see themselves. And also, I wanted others to shift how they saw blindness, identity, and strength. And because the book isn't just about going blind, it's about the chapters we all go through, all of us,
Yep.
grief, healing, relationships, chronic illness. It's the things that we survive and grow through. And so holding that book was like holding that version of myself that it got me here and just really honoring it.
As a sighted person reading the book, um, and I think we've spoken about this, but there's so many similarities, characteristics in our upbringing, even though we're from different places, different
Yes,
ethnicities. And the book, everybody can see a part of them in that book, if
yes.
you understand, because we all go through experiences. So
Mhm.
everybody, resilience and purpose, discovering strength and connection in life's cracks. Go out and get it. It's wonderful. So if someone wants to support or connect with the blind and visually impaired community in meaningful ways, what would your advice be to them?
I think number one is start with empathy and don't assume, ask. I think that's really important. Um, Hire us, include us in design, um, policy, follow blind creators, advocates for accessibility, and see disability as an asset, not a limitation. So I think that is the biggest thing, is just listen, support, and learn.
I appreciate you for doing this and being transparent and taking time out to talk to me. So where can everybody reach you?
The best way is through Instagram. So my Instagram handle is at Purpose in View. My website is purposeinview.com. I'm on LinkedIn. Check out YouTube for my TEDx talk. It's called Blindsided. And then I was recently in a Kia ad. Check that out as well.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And
Thank you so much
for
for having me.
this.
I love this conversation and I've been looking forward to it for a long time. So I'm glad to have it.
Thank you for tuning in to Bold Blind Beauty on the Air's Connected and Curious with Andy. I hope today's conversation left you inspired, educated, and a little more connected than before. Remember, curiosity brings us closer, and every story shines a light. Until next time, stay connected, stay curious, and keep shining.